What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been too long. Last time I said I would keep videos rolling in. Well, I've let you down there. Just got too busy, too many things going on, and I haven't taken time to pick up the camera. So I'm up here. It's Sunday. Got a customer, Mr. Zach Abernathy. He's going to be picking up this Camaro here in a minute. And I just thought I'd give you an update of all what's going on in the shop as far as the customer builds. We've got some new products that we come out with, and I'm going to save a dedicated video just for those so it don't mix and match with what's going on here. But Zach's Camaro back here, he brought it to us for a lot of things. We installed our 850 cage. That's his leftover parts there. We installed subframe connectors, installed the torque arm clearance cover, did the Midwest chassis firewall, got his steering shaft cut to length, did a full tubular front kit, modified the On 3 turbo system he's got to fit the tube front, flipped the intercooler, mounted a radiator, did a custom fan shroud, put a Maven mount on it. Trying to think of what else. Just a big list of stuff, but everything went pretty smooth. You know, nothing is too complicated, especially whenever it's stuff that we produce. We've installed so many of them, it goes pretty smooth. But he's picking that up in a minute, and just thought I'd go over what's going on with that one. So moving over here, we've got an update on the Ripper. It is off the chassis table and rolling around. So I guess it's officially a roller now. It's always a pretty big milestone when a car is able to come off the table. We got the back set up at ride height pretty much. The front's probably a little bit high because it has no weight in it. But everything's kind of laid out on the back. Got the wishbone on it, all that figured out. Still got to finish welding some stuff and cleaning some stuff up, but yeah, it's pretty much ready for the mock-up engine, transmission, and getting all that stuff laid out. Which we're still, Jonathan's still waiting on the dry sump setup and all that for the Gen 5 LT, which will be going in the car. So for right now, it's just gonna hang out here until that stuff comes in. Here we have a local guy, Jordan Smith. His no-prep Mustang here. Getting a Gibbons 850 cage. Got pieces of it laying everywhere. We just dropped this off last week. Again, this is us just trying to get smaller jobs in here, stuff we can do in a couple days and get back out the door. We always try to help out our local racers. If they need something last minute or something, we try to sneak them in between the people that, you know, really have to travel and stuff like that. So we're gonna get started on that tomorrow. The Jeep behind me, yes, it's still here. Got it sitting at ride height right there. In the middle right now, deciding on what strut setup to buy for the front. It's not going to get these wheels. It's probably going to get spindle wheels on the front now that it's going to be a two-wheel drive Jeep. We built another K member to go in here to replace the one that fits all the OEM stuff on there. So this will be the race K member. But still some stuff to figure out on that, but it's just hanging out for now until we do. So let's talk about the Datsun. Why haven't we been talking about it, updating, and all that good stuff? And we was on the front page of RPM magazine in October with this thing, thanks to Wes Taylor and all his hard work doing that article for us. That was awesome. I took it to Fuel Tech, updated you guys on that whenever we broke the transmission on the dyno. It was just a rookie thing, me having the clutch too tight. But we've been kind of silent since then, so nearly 6 months of silence on this car. No updates for you guys. So I'm going to tell you what's been going on. So when we had it at Streetcar Takeover, I just basically put the car together enough to roll around and to put on display. But we knew the suspension had to be set up, all that. So we got the back set up how we want it. Now we moved to the front, and we had too much camber. This car was leaned out like stance life or something, and it needed to be squared up. So we started pulling on our lower control arms to get the camber out of it, because the top of the struts are obviously fixed. There's no adjustment there, and we couldn't get it out. We couldn't get it pulled in enough. We run out of adjustment. Whenever we set this car up on the chassis table, we set it up just like the car was whenever I was racing it before. It was basically set up around a factory, you know, whatever the factory camber was on the car at the time. And we left enough adjustment on the lower control arms where we thought we had enough to adjust for any you know, incorrectness that we had, but we didn't. We just, after pulling it all the way in, there was 2 degrees left to get out of it, and 2 degrees is a lot when you're dealing with something this short. So that kind of knocked the wind out of me, because I had everything was super nice on the car the way I wanted it, and now we're gonna have to start chopping on it. So looking at it more and more, we actually took the lower control arm loose and let it swing in until it got correct, and it was going to be so close you couldn't even turn the car or anything. Plus, you know, the hot side was going to hit. Just a bunch of negative things was going to happen. So I thought, what are we going to do now? So the only thing left to do was to pull the strut cup out at the top, and then add a lot of length to the lower control arm to move it out, and then meet somewhere in the middle. The problem is these adjustable strut cups, I got the first ones from Tim McAmis, but they ran right through the frame. They go right through here. They're actually right there, under there. Well, I didn't want to cut those out, because then I mean, what do you put in between it that's not going to look like just some cobbled up mess? So just, for lack of better words, just sat here and looked at it for a couple months until I decided to stop and look at it hard enough to make a decision on what we was going to do. So the decision was, we bought, you can't see it really in the paint, but we bought the Hammer Concepts and Designs adjustable strut cups, which is very, very, very similar to what we had. Actually, the inserts off the other ones will still work on these, but we're just gonna move this out, you know, the full length of the strut, or of the strut cup. So underneath here, I'll show y'all the secret. I'm not gonna show this off at the track, but check this out. There's another strut cup under there, because I didn't want to cut it out because it would make a mess. So this strut cup is welded up both sides on the other one. It's actually at a little bit different angle, and then it is completely welded in, all but just the bottom there. So it's probably got a lot more weld on it than the original one did, as far as that goes. But in doing this, this made these look like little shock towers, and I think they turned out pretty nice. I actually had one of my employees, Cody, made these. Kind of worked with him and told him what I wanted, kind of showed him, and he handmade all these pieces. Made a nice mount for my shock travel sensor there off to the side instead of on that tube like it was. But I think it turned out really nice, and we put slugs in these and lengthened them a good bit. And after it's all said and done, everything is good and square now, just like we want it. But just had to get in the mindset that it had to be done, and just we done it as cleanly as we could. So another thing that was brought to my attention at Fuel Tech was the two-step activation and switch. I have just a standard trans brake button on my firewall. You can see right here. It was just mounted right there. So pedal all the way down, it activates the two-step. Lift up on it a little bit, deactivates it. The problem is the clutch is not engaged a 1/4 inch off the floor. It's engaged like halfway up as far as it moving the car. So I know that can be adjusted a little bit, you know, by different things, but the more distance you have from the time that the two-step deactivates and the motor runs away till your clutch actually engages, the harder your clutch tuning is going to be, because your engine's going up and your clutch is not where it needs to be yet. So you want to get those two as close as you can together. That way everything's kind of easier to tune. Plus, when your two-step's off, your motor's revving up, you want your car to be going and not the other guy in the lane going and you still just revving up there for nothing. So they actually showed me the amount of time. It was substantial in the milliseconds between the clutch or the wheels actually turning and from the time the two-step was deactivated. So that's the time you want to try to reduce. Well, Lewis said I need to get a swing lever switch, which he really means a limit switch is what those are technically called. So we got one. You can see it right there. This is what they use in robotics. So when you push the clutch pedal down, it will activate the two-step and it'll keep it activated throughout the whole stroke. Well, then when you let off, or it'll actually, let me take that back. You push the clutch in, it won't activate the two-step until it's nearly all the way down. And you probably can't hear it click, but I'll see if I can try. So it's pushing it now. It touches it right there. There, it clicked. So two-step is activated right there. Now look how much it's going to travel back up before it deactivates. Right there. So that motion right there is the amount of distance I have to play with, as far as if I need to bump in or something like that. Plus, that's not very far. That's about half the distance is taken away from what was there, as far as whenever the two-step deactivates and the clutch actually engages. So that was another big upgrade, and we're going to see that as far as on the data logs and stuff like that. When we actually start testing, we can measure the time and stuff, but that's going to be a big improvement, I think, on the tunability of the clutch, and plus hopefully me not having a bus link put on me because of my slow reaction time, or as far as the reaction time of the clutch actually moving the car from the time I let up on the two-step. So that was another thing. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, the belly pan. Let's talk about the belly pan. So there's not really an engine diaper that fits a stick shift car that good. You've got a bell housing that completely surrounds the clutch. Most of your engine diapers are made to go up on the back side of an oil pan, you know, kind of in between the flex plate and stuff. So you can't do that on a stick shift car. It wraps all the way around. So with mine, I decided to do a belly pan, an aluminum one, and I think it turned out really nice. Let's look at it from underneath first. So I painted the sides, left the bottom bare because it's going to get drugged probably a little bit, but I've got the carbon panels and stuff off on the bottom now. That's why it's kind of open, but I've got a couple tabs here, one here on each corner that it bolts up to, and it's still above the bell housing, so hopefully it won't get ripped off. Inside, it's layered with many layers of pig mat. All I did there was use silicone and put, you know, some dabs of silicone all around it and just laid multiple layers on top of each other. And it's I think NHRA spec is like 2 inches deep, so it's 2 inches deep all the way around. It comes actually a little bit forward of the crankshaft and goes all the way back to the rear of the engine. So really like the way that turned out. All in all, I think we are ready to hit the track now. Was messing with my little ride height laser the other day. I actually had to go in and build a table for that thing in Fuel Tech. Try to get my brain working again on some of that stuff that I ain't messed with in years. But pretty excited. I actually went to Simpson a couple weeks ago. Got all my Hans device, fire stuff. I'll show you. Ain't turned on any of the lights in here. But got nice new helmet. The things on the back for the Hans device. The Simpson Hybrid Sport Hans device. Got nice head sock. Got all my 20 fire stuff. That stuff's not cheap. It'll hurt your feelings real quick going and buying some fire stuff, but you won't have no feelings if you're dead. So other than that, I think we're ready. As far as the other shop stuff goes, we're still rocking and rolling on tanks. Our website stuff's doing great this year. We've got some new products. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing another video on a couple of them. Most of them are 3rd gen. We've got, I think, 3 new 3rd gen products that I gotta tell you guys about. So look for that video, maybe coming sooner than later. I might try to do that this coming week. But again, sorry it took me so long. And to tell you the truth, I probably wouldn't have done this video unless I'd have had a customer picking up a car today and I had some extra time. So hopefully it won't be too long. I'll see you guys again. Thanks for watching.